The salon's online booking system was discriminatory to non-binary customers.
This is a bald non-binary person booking a hair appointment?
Yes.
What is she cutting?
You're obsessing too much over the baldness.
No, this is like an integral part of the story. Why are you going to a hair salon if you're bald?
Maybe just to be a victim.
That's what I'm saying. This person was seeking it out.
Hey guys, welcome back to Normal Gaze, where we take on LGBT insanity. I'm Brad Polumbo here with Clarkson Lawson.
What's up, guys? Now, before we get started, we've got a really fun members only. We took a game from Love Island because I've been watching that all year. It just ended. But there's a really fun game where we're going to test how well Brad and I know each other with our handy-dandy whiteboards. It's just going to be really good, so make sure you subscribe.
Definitely. And in the meantime, we're going to catch up with the latest non-binary drama out of Canada. Clarkson, can you imagine?
Oh, Canada.
Yeah, I know. Oh, Canada.
Damn, losing hockey and...
I know. What a week for Canada. This has to be, of all the non-binary stories we have covered, the most absurd. And that's saying something, right?
I don't know if I believe you.
I guess you'll decide. I love how still nobody can define non-binary. Like, we were just watching the debate I did on my new channel that I'm doing panel debates, where a left-wing guest
makes me crash out.
Simply refused to answer any question requiring a definition of non-binary.
And they never acknowledge that, like, if you can just identify as whatever you want and nobody understands it, like Brad brings up in the podcast where he's like, well, where's the line? Like,
could
where
it be
do you
cat?
draw the line? Right.
And she's like, of course not.
That's so insane. It's like, yes.
What does that mean, though? To not identify as male or female? Yeah. Like, in terms of, I'm non-binary, I don't feel male or female.
We're not going to get into the nitty-gritty of those definitions. Let's zoom out and talk about what the bill is introducing.
What if I want my identity to be listed as a cat?
You're not going to make up cat, and if you are, you're full of nobody's making up cat. So is that part of the legislation, or are we just making a little example here to be fun?
But you are literally saying that. Non-binary is so insane, but because we allowed people to identify as it, it's now normal.
And then I was like, she repeatedly said, the validity of someone else's identity doesn't depend on other people's opinions. And I'm like, so why not cat? She's like, well, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you mean?
That's your opinion. Anyway, what is
this person looks about as non-binary as you would expect. Let's listen to the CBC.
God.
Alex Mignot says they are satisfied with a ruling by Quebec's Human Rights Tribunal. Mignot complained that a salon's online booking system was discriminatory to non-binary customers. It was ordered to pay $500.
Are you tracking so far?
I couldn't. What was the first thing they said?
That was the person's name.
Oh. Okay.
So it's a non-binary person who just...
when they're booking their... Wait, hold on. This is a bald non-binary person booking a hair appointment?
Yes.
What is she cutting?
Maybe it was like, maybe she wasn't bald before and the appointment was to get... All right, you're obsessing too much over the baldness.
No, this is like an integral part of the story. Why are you going to a hair salon if you're bald?
Maybe just to be a victim.
That's what I'm saying. This person was seeking it out. I'm sorry. Anyway.
She was asking for
$500?
So because the hair salon only had male or female, they were awarded $500 in damages.
You, Canada. Honestly, I'm so happy. I normally stick up for Canada because our president be acting crazy about you guys sometimes, but you know what?
Y'all can hold the L on this one.
All
right, let's watch.
To see the tribunal side with me on that and say that, you know what, non-binary people shouldn't be forced to pick man or woman, and it's not fair for them. I was so relieved and happy to hear that.
It all started 2 years ago when Mignot wanted to book a haircut at Station 10 Salon in Longueuil. Customers are asked to choose whether it's for men, women, children, or someone with a beard or braids, something Mignot refused to do.
It's a repetition of a trauma that I...
Oh my God.
Don't crash out.
I'm getting very close. I don't know what to do. On a day-to-day basis, I crash out over things that pull me from left to right on a day-to-day.
You were just crashing out about snowballs.
I was just crashing out about snowballs. And like, I don't know. I just don't know what to do. I think I might be too sensitive to do this for work.
Calm down! Calm down! I am so sick and tired of people telling me to calm down. I am so tired.
I don't think I'm built for this. I need to live in a bubble. I cannot be exposed to these types of freaks on a day-to-day basis.
I just can't believe, like, how offensive is it to people who've actually experienced trauma to compare having to click male or female on a form to not, like, put it to a trauma. Tell me you've never experienced trauma.
From 2 years ago, you did all of this for $500?
I'm pretty sure that this person claimed they were, like, unable to work for months because of the emotional damage or whatever.
And that
Emotional damage.
That time off all amounted to $500 because this person's job probably is only $500 worth of work for 2 months.
The other thing that is funny to me, like, put this in our context, right? Imagine you had to fill out, say that you were married, right?
Yeah.
And not single. All right, guys, can we just say that he broke up with the guy he wanted to 5 minutes ago bring to Brazil with us?
Fully dating.
Yeah, he wanted to bring him on a trip to us out of the country.
And it was a smart decision because I realized he was not ready for a relationship, and so did he. So we amicably were like,
and that's
friends.
wonderful. But just like a week before, he said, "Can I invite him to Brazil with us?" And I was like,
"It would have been a fun trip."
But you would have broken up like a week before we left.
Fine.
Anyway. Put it in our context, right? Like, you're filling out a form and you say that you're married, you have a husband, and if you click male, it only has an option for wife or no spouse.
Right.
What would you do? You just move on with your life. Like,
yeah. Or actually, no, that's not even the right example because that would be factually like false. Like, you would be asking me to write down something that is false. Non-binary doesn't exist. It doesn't make any sense.
But
it's literally a delusion of grandeur by a mentally deranged person, and I'm tired of even comparing it to any situation that I would ever relate to, because I will never relate to somebody who identifies as non-binary. Ever.
You get my point. That just a form that
I could be in a full-blown schizophrenic episode, and my reality would still be more real than somebody who identifies as non-binary.
Okay, who's more delusional, Candace Owens or your average non-binary person?
Oh, that's hard.
Yeah, I know.
That's very hard.
But you get what I'm saying.
But
just that, like,
I would say non-binary because non-binary is a fundamental part of these people's identity. And if a fundamental part of your identity is not real, that's a big deal.
I get what you're saying, but I'm just using the example of, like, how much would you let a form affect you at a hair salon?
Well, yeah. If it was a government form that said, do you have, like, what's your wife's name? I'd be like, hey, I have a husband.
Same, but I'm just saying, at the end of the day, like, one random form would not haunt me for months. But it would not be trauma.
It would not be
trauma. And it would not be trauma?
Even if it was asking me in a real situation and I had a husband, it's still not trauma.
No, and that's such a watering down of these, like, actually real concepts.
Yeah.
That I keep living over and over again. And
as I already paused, tell me you're living the trauma over and over again.
He's bald.
Is it a he or she? I think it's a he.
That's a he.
That's a he. That Jaws giving Lily Tino.
He's bald though. Like, why are you going to a hair salon? You're not living it over and over again because your body clearly didn't want you to live it over again. So it said, bye to your hair. Oh, great. Now the trauma solved itself. You don't have to deal with it.
Oh, how do I hit for my non-binary pattern baldness?
That's what I'm saying. Like, you don't even have to go to the hair salon anymore. Why do you care?
And it cuts me off from society.
They filed a complaint.
As it should.
You know what? It doesn't, but maybe it should.
No, it does. It does. We gladly cut off delusions from society. I don't care.
You're going off.
Honestly, Brad said I have fascist tendencies, and I'm starting to think that I do.
You just don't tolerate any sort of disorder.
I don't. That's why the snowball situation in New York City has
somebody threw snowballs at police officers, and I'm like, oh, that's bad. But
I've lost my all morning. But like, you don't have a place in society if you are crazy besides in a mental institution or in your home. Like, if you can keep your delusions in your home and don't allow them to affect everyone, that's fine. But you can't walk out here and say, well, you must demand that these are real.
Apparently you can in Canada.
Complaint with Quebec's Human Rights Commission. The salon offered Mignot 3 free haircuts and changed its website to include a non-gendered option. Its co-owner says he's surprised the issue wound up in court.
Well, it's $500. It's not a big amount, but it is a precedent, and many, even our clients, are sending us money, asking us or telling us we should fight back in appeals. but we're a small business. We're not politicians.
The matter prompted reaction at the National Assembly.
C'est que l'entrepreneur a quand même pris des dispositions.
The business tried to find a solution, says the leader of the Quebec Liberal Party.
Au Québec, les personnes non-binaires existent.
Non-binary people exist, points out Manon Massé.
No.
Yes, crazy
Since
people
there-
exist.
there's a chance of appeal. We're not going to comment any further.
This human rights lawyer says the tribunal ruling isn't binding compared to a court ruling, but it could influence businesses in the future.
People bring complaints is not only to seek justice for themselves, but part of the work that human rights commissions and tribunals do is to try to make sure that you don't have to litigate and relitigate things all over again.
The salon's owners say they'll probably pay the $500 so they can move on.
I would fight to my last death. I would pull a rooftop Korean and lay on top of my salon with an AR-15 saying, "Come and take it,"
Yeah.
before I would pay that $500.
I'm just speechless at this point because you have these grown ass going along with something that isn't real.
We all
Like you
know it.
literally have a court deciding. They're like, oh, non-binary people exist. We know. We're fully aware. That doesn't mean you have the right to be real because you're not.
Anyway, I just found this story very funny, but also kind of sad. I think the non-binary thing continues to make us all look like a joke, and
It makes the human race look like a joke.
it really does. And to be like, I'm sick of this war on words. Trauma. This is not trauma. These are not
Are we
human
just getting
rights.
dumb? Like, is that what's happening?
I don't know, getting or
Or has the human race has? I mean, I guess we have been very dumb, but like this is a new level of like, because it's just so obvious. Like
it's obvious to us.
there's no line of reasoning into what non-binary is, or is it just like, do people care so much about not hurting people's feelings because we're so privileged that they have outsourced critical thinking because they don't even bother with it anymore?
You kind of ate with that.
I don't know. All I know is that non-binary is not real, and I will say that, and those will be my last words. Write that on my coffin. Non-binary was never real.
All right, guys, let us know what you think, especially Canadians, if you watch us and are somehow, at all connected to this or know that this is going on. Let us know in the comments. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure that you become a channel member to make a non-binary person cry. And so every time somebody becomes a normie and joins our channel, somewhere a non-binary person is just seething. So use that as your motivation to join
The more
today.
support we have, the more cultural power we have, the less they do.
So
support us.
if you hit the join button or the link in the description to become a channel member, you'll unlock our weekly members only videos. We played F, Marry, Kill with Blair White. That was really fun, but only for the normies. And we have a great game coming up this weekend as well. Anyway, guys, with that, we'll be back with more real soon.